What's going on, guys? Drew from Future Strategy Gaming coming at you with another reaction time video. This one is why are so many people enjoying Final Fantasy XIV instead of WoW these days? This is coming from the Bellular Clips channel. This one's about 13 minutes long. I'll do my best not to pause too much, but this will be a very interesting topic because I happen to be one of those players who is enjoying fantasy way more. So let's see what happens. Taking on the perceived problems to give each a fair chance.
Now we got a super from Stephen Williams who said, speaking of that non-WoW game, do you stream that one mysterious video game? I played FF14 since 1.0 launch. Would love to watch you suffer. I'm not suffering. I am playing it and currently not streaming it because we don't really have the setup and time to do a whole bunch.
And there's also not like a great medium for it. I feel like Twitch does not really do a good job of promoting smaller channels. Obviously, Bellular would be pretty big, but honestly, Final does not have a large share of streamers in particular. There's definitely people out there, but it's not nearly as big as WoW.
Bunch of gameplay streaming. So that's mostly the answer to that. That said, I am playing with my brain turned on, and I'm taking notes.
So he's farther off now.
Covering FF14.
Last time he was a 19
Sandrax
bard.
Joined as a new member. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandrax.
Yeah, cheers. I think two more supers before we hop into the news. One of them, actually, let's do it. It's from Alex Beam. He said this. I tried FF last week, quit after 20 minutes when I was forced to run around talking to lollies instead of kill stuff. Made me appreciate Exile's Reach/WoW.
Oh my god.
So okay.
I get it.
Matt's heart is
I get
I'm
it.
just trying to think of how to specifically address the lollies part, because if
Lalafell are a bit fucking uncomfortable.
I feel
Yeah.
like saying Lalafell or lollies is kind of misunderstanding of the entire thing, but I've been so deep in Weebland for so long that
Right.
I don't know how
It's
to
like
I don't know how to
normal.
speak to humans anymore on that front.
Yeah, there's that thing of like you show a regular person Food Wars, and they will just say, this is straight up. You know what? I don't want to say the word in case a bot demonetized us. You know, it begins with PEAD.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Maybe people would think that they look at Food
right,
Wars.
yes.
You know the girl with the blue hair who's like 13.
She's
the
not.
camera. Is she
Right.
13? Is she 14, 15?
Older than that. They're like late high schoolers, like university teacher.
I
Like,
didn't. I thought
yeah,
they were
they're-
younger than that in that
No,
show.
they're like
You
16.
can't.
Okay, they certainly.
Game's
look,
18. Don't
Okay,
play
yeah.
it.
She looks too young for how the camera treats her. But it's that weird thing of like, if you've been in Weebland forever and you've seen enough anime things, you're like, well, this is just how it's done over there.
Yeah.
Whatever, I
Right.
don't notice it. But I feel like if you get somebody who's
If you're new to that, it's
just all
there's
in
some
the
shock
Western
to
content,
Yeah.
they're going to see some of those norms and be like, whoa, what? These characters look like little bizarre children. In my thing that I know, say Lord of the Rings, the hobbits. Yes, they are child-sized, but they don't look like fucking
They look
children.
like adults. Yeah.
Lalafell are weird because they're potato toddlers, like. But they actually go out of their way to sort of destroy that, because I don't think I've met a single Lalafell in game that acts like a child.
Yeah, not at
Very
all.
specifically, like a lot
Oh,
of
like
the
hard-nosed.
Lalafell and like Ul'dah and stuff are just grizzled old bastards,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's the same as gnomes. It's just they look a little bit more like toddlers instead of weird demon babies. They go like gnomes. Gnomes look like weird demon adults
Yes.
strapped onto tiny bodies.
Yes.
Whereas Lalafell just look like walking
Pygmies,
potatoes,
dude. Pygmies.
in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So
But-
it's.
Yeah.
I can totally understand people seeing a Lalafell being a bit creeped out or weirded
Uncomfortable,
out
yeah.
and sort of quitting. I guess for whatever.
20
it's been for
minutes,
me,
though. That's
I'd
a
be
little
like, well,
much,
I know what
dude.
this is in this world. If, I wouldn't necessarily art direct it in the same way. But
Yeah.
that said, who am I to really say much to the team that has done Final Fantasy XIV?
Correct.
Now, the other thing from Alex, and this is something I'll get into when I talk about my own impressions, but Alex said, I was forced to run around talking to lollies instead of kill stuff. Dude, seriously, read the fucking quest text.
Right.
Engage with it like it's an actual video game.
Good.
World of Warcraft literally teaches you to appreciate and play and enjoy games the wrong fucking way.
Yes.
Because WoW is so
Yes.
fucking hyper everything towards that sort of endgame style of content.
Yeah.
And WoW's narrative content is like so based on walls of text
Yep.
that it basically trains you to do what like legit we all do playing WoW.
Skip,
which is
skip,
just,
skip, 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 skip.
"Whee! I went through the zone and the stuff is done. Now I'm raiding.
Right.
Whereas CNFF, like
Need it.
in the same way that if you're playing, say, Mass Effect 2 or something, you will have your shooty bang bang bit, but then you'll have your slower character bit.
Right.
I think the point with
gotta
Final
play
Fantasy
both.
14 is the slower character bit is them establishing stuff so that it will pay off later.
Yep.
So like in Gridania, the zone that I started off in, Yeah, like it was a slow start, and I did have to sit there reading some dialogue that I wasn't super engaged in because at that stage didn't know the characters, didn't really know the situation, didn't
Right.
know the world.
There's no engagement.
But then all of that stuff did come together at the end of the initial Gridania story, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I'll do a proper segment on the post Gridania stuff for me. But yeah, I'd say don't play Final Fantasy XIV like it is World of Warcraft. Play it like it's a video game.
Yes.
And that sounds inherently pretty
Yeah.
No, that's big
mean
true.
to WoW, but like
No, WoW's only
I suppose it is in a way, isn't it?
it's not mean. WoW's literally only content that they seem to create at a high level is end game content. So of course there's incentive to get through and just go. Also, quest text, instant quest text makes it feel way less immersive. There's no dialogue, which is something Final excels at, but just have this wall of text. It's boring. You don't want to read that, especially when there's 4 to 6 quests in every hub that you go to. It just gets to a point where you're like, oh man, there's no interaction whatsoever. It's just here's this text, read it, and then go do your quest. And most of the time, those quests don't really give great impressions. So, one sec, dog's being a jerk. Hey, you want out? All right, let's get back to this. Let's see what he says next.
Yep.
It's just that thing, in WoW, like WoW players are so sometimes not gamers. Like,
Right.
all they do
If
is
they
WoW,
just
all
play
know
WoW,
is MMOs.
yeah.
Yep.
But like
MMO.
the same way that people, it's like you send somebody to play an RPG, and then that person skips all of the cutscenes and all of the dialogue.
Why would
and
you
just
play
wants
the
to
game?
focus on the content, and then they have a bad time. You're like, well, yeah, you played the game wrong.
Right.
That's not how it's done. It's not the done thing for video games. That said, A Realm Reborn is slower paced and all of that stuff as compared to the
It takes
expansions.
time, though.
And as for the other things, like Exile's Reach, I think Exile's Reach is like really good, but man, if we're saying that it's like incredible stuff, the bar's pretty low.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess with Exile's Reach, like it is more of a simple, you've got Lego, you've got Meccano, or is it? You've got your Bionicles, then you got your Mega Blocks and your Duplo, where, Exile's Reach, narratively speaking, is way more Duplo Mega Blocks. It's like very,
Yeah.
very simple. Very simple. You don't even need to read the quest text. The characters doing their little speech bubbles is enough. But in FF, it's like you do actually have to see what's up with the characters, see what's up with the story, so you can actually learn the world and shit.
Yep.
Um,
And it's all paid off remarkably well.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the building
they-
of it
they-
is really, really good.
It's a case where if you give it a fraction of your
Get back to it.
attention, it will pay you back in more than kind by like everything it tells you. You can tell the writers remember everything they've put on paper and want to pull back to it. Like I'd love
Yeah,
to see
a
the
lot.
whiteboards in their offices. They would be like, I'd imagine there's like half of Square Enix's office. It's just someone tracking different characters across
Like
the room
strings
is
going around.
like ceiling to floor, whiteboard, just lines
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Like that, that meme of the board with all the pins across it from Always Sunny. Like
Oh,
that,
yeah. Yeah,
but
Charlie.
for characters because it's nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's like, this is not a Zoomer game.
No,
No, it is. I don't even want to call it a boomer game because I can't.
it's not.
The idea of boomers too ingrained of with man sitting on a ride-on lawnmower in a kind of Monster Ultra Paradise, but it's definitely not. How do I put this? It's very much the way I think Blizzard got so much wrong with the idea of gameplay first, where people think, oh well, that's not gameplay, that's reading. You're like, nah.
It is gameplay.
It's almost the same argument as, well, a visual novel's not a game. You're like,
Yeah,
fuck
it
off.
is.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
With all of these things, I'm beginning to just take the view of words are almost useless. One of the best words to use, I think, is experience.
Yeah.
What is the
What's the
experience of this bit of software, and whether that is the form of a VN or an RPG that's a bit VN-ish or various different types of games. The bit that ultimately matters is what it does inside you. That's the
Yeah.
experience of the game,
Yeah.
I guess.
Turns out reading is gameplay.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
because if you're-
Absolutely.
And it's another thing with FF specifically, all of those things, it's like dialogue between your character and the other character.
Yeah.
Rarely, like it can feel a bit like shit's just being blurted out at you, but at least with like how it's written in the framing and the actual process of you clicking through the dialogue versus just click on NPC.
That could be a negative
wall of text.
sometimes.
It
I
feels
skip
far more like
past
dialogue, and I think
shit
that
all
means
the
that you
time
feel
by
far more
accident.
like your character, and that doing those things as your character feels far more like gameplay, even though it's reading. Because, as you said, gameplay first. We've got to take an experience first understanding, I think. Oh, Alex says, did a follow-up super saying, for what's worth, I do request too many proper nouns in the beginning for a brand new player to know what is what.
Completely fair.
I just don't think it's
Yeah.
meant for me. Yeah, how many yalms
Yalms.
between
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
is
mean,
like
it's just-
meters?
just-
Yeah, or yards.
Yeah.
It's a very old English style, and I think that once you get used to how everyone speaks, it really engages you in the world, especially with their voice actors from Heavensward onwards.
I just
Would
feel
get a
like
bunch
this
of,
person
really
that
British
they're
voice actors to do it.
communicating
And,
with
it's
just
So I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but
Yep.
it's like anytime you see a
don't know.
fantasy movie or a fantasy thing, and you have basically American English being spoken,
yeah,
and it feels like really odd and jarring
Right.
because it's like, why are you talking like modern people from the TV? The setting you're, and WoW sometimes does suffer from this as well.
Yeah.
It's like the setting you're from totally does not feel like modern,
right
whatever.
modern speech.
I mean, I just watched The Witch, which is entirely in like 1600s English.
No
By
idea.
The Witch is. See all those people downvoting The Witch because it's not like a big shock horror movie? Nah, The Witch is fucking awesome. Great movie.
yeah. No,
So fucking smart.
yeah.
I mean, I wish they changed more. Not worth getting into.
Yeah, no, I will say to follow up the amount of proper nouns. Yes, it's very
I found that
overwhelming.
jarring too.
It's really overwhelming because it's just like.
But that's
But I think a lot of that is trying not to treat the player like they're literally new in the world, because you are just a kind of newbie adventurer.
right.
But eventually, all those proper.
That's
nouns will
what's
mean
like.
stuff,
Oh, this is
and
why I
you'll know
can't
what
play it
the
because
word
of the
is,
way
what
they
places are
they
called,
say him or
because
her.
everything mentioned you
Thou.
probably go to eventually. Everyone mentioned you
Since
speak
the
to
nine.
or meet eventually, and it's all just kind of like, it's a case of if you stick with it, I think it will be for you eventually. It's just, it depends on what kind of player you are. There's likely going to be, there's either no wall like there is for someone like me who's fully engaged with that, or there'll be a very, very, very thick wall based on your history.
I'm a minor wall.
Yeah, and if you can get through it, I promise, paradise lies on the other side of that wall.
Yeah,
It's just a very, very
totally.
big wall.
Yeah.
That's how I'd put it, I think.
I mean, so there's E.
And preconceptions will
Rebel
build to that
here.
wall.
I almost read your name is E Red Bull, which, but you said in FF, I feel like I belong in the world. My character suffers, struggles, has joy, hope. In WoW, I'm just a hitman with plot armor.
Yep.
Thus far,
Yeah,
even though
I mean,
my
that's-
character is a random cat girl that I made a year ago because I was trying to
It's
get
not
a
bad.
character made in Zodiac really quick because it wouldn't let you make a character unless it was 4 a.m.
Yep.
So even though my character is not really what I would normally choose or anything like that, yeah, in my first few hours, I definitely feel that. And so much of that is because of the manner in which they handle dialogue with NPCs, and that it feels more
Yes.
conversational than WoW stuff does.
Yes.
I think that's the main part of it because it's certainly not in the gameplay,
Even-
which so far for me has been circle strafe, use heavy shot.
yeah,
standard keyboard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now, it is entirely experience, not rigid view of gameplay. That is,
Yeah.
is getting me in that game.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest barrier. You don't actually play the game as a gameplay focused game for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. So it's certainly
I mean,
it's closer
JRPGs.
to what aspects of WoW felt like in
Classic.
the past.
Yeah.
But
And
it is
kind of
extremely
BC.
different from modern World of Warcraft, and I
Yeah.
feel like if you're super used to modern World of Warcraft, it is just going to be really jarring. Because to me, initially, I was like, "Oh, I prefer the WoW art style. Oh, the anti-aliasing in this engine is awful. Oh, the movement doesn't feel as responsive." Because my initial reaction was totally the reaction of a WoW player.
Yeah.
yeah.
To the point
absolutely.
where until honestly a few months ago, I was pretty much just yeah, I was basically the same as Alex. I was like, yeah, tried it, not for me, doesn't feel good as a game. It just for me took
Glad that
little
someone
bit
pushed
of
him.
everyone around me screaming, play
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
That's what gave me enough fuel to push through my gripes to
Good.
actually find the game.
Yeah, I can imagine the sheer evangelism from FF14 players can seem daunting and almost cult-like to people who haven't played it or have an aversion to it, but it's because people really, really believe in the experience that it
that
gives
it
you.
provides. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems it's that way.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I think I think unfortunately, WoW's leveling up process is really poor. They've tried to do some things to improve it. And you've got Chromie's time walking shit where you can just pick an expansion and you level through that, or it just seems like there isn't the Threads of Fate and Shadowlands versus the storyline. It feels like lore building is something that really helps Final Fantasy and the storytelling, because it makes that game feel like there's so much depth to it. Whereas in WoW, it's like, hey, if you've never done this before, based on what everyone around you who told you to pick up this game said, you're going to go into this and say, I want to level in X expansion because all my friends said it, with no frame of reference to anything that's going on short of them saying you should do the Burning Crusade. And it's just like the focus is get to end game and then you can really experience the game. So apples to oranges, there is something wrong with that model when it comes to WoW, but at the same time, WoW is the only thing they do well is end game. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that situation where it's like, yeah, you focus on leveling up and getting up there fast, but that's really all there is to do anyway. So you might as well, right? I don't know. Anyways, appreciate you guys checking this out. Thanks for giving me your time today. That's another reaction from Bellular. I'm going to do a couple more of these before head to bed tonight. So thank you so much for checking us out. If you liked the video, make sure you hit like. If you want to see more of this content and my upcoming content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm Drew from Future Strategy Gaming. Take care. Peace.